Could faceless news channels be the next big opportunity for faceless channels on YouTube in 2024? Take a look at how much money this channel is potentially making. And also this one. These channels have popped up in the last year and they are completely faceless news channels that are starting to grow incredibly quickly and are generating some serious revenue. Previously the sole domain of deep-pocketed mainstream media, we've started to see a rise in faceless news channels that are tapping into trending topics and exploding their channels in a matter of weeks. The issue with news channels has always been the speed at which you can create new content and videos to remain relevant. Nobody wants yesterday's news. Which is why traditionally these companies have large teams of researchers and journalists in place. But there is now a way that we can level the playing field with AI, and I think because of this we're going to see a rise in faceless news channels in 2024 and beyond. So in this video I'm going to show you how to leverage those recent changes, making it easier than ever to start your very own personal news channel. I'll also be covering the types of niches that work best for this strategy, as it's important to know this because not every niche will work with a faceless news channel. Now, if you look at many of the larger media companies out there, you'll see that a lot of them have been moving towards a more mixed form of content uploading onto their channels. So this is both presenter focused like this, where you're the classic type of style and you're presenting to camera, and faceless videos with voiceovers, which are a mix of their footage, images, and stock video clips. This has now opened up the door for us and conditioned viewers to be more accepting of consuming news content in this way. And thanks to the recent quality improvements of AI voices and generative video, we can now create these quickly ourselves. The issue that still remained was always research. But I'm going to show you a couple of ways to get around this using AI. But before we get started, you need to understand what niches work well with faceless news channels and what niches don't. As we always like to say, the money is in the niche, and you aren't Sky News or the BBC, so trying to cover all of the world's news is impossible. And why would someone want to watch your budget videos over those anyways? So don't compete on their terms. Instead, you need to either go highly targeted on a fixed area of news that is ongoing, or summarize news for a particular area or community. A good example of this in action is TDLR News, or Too Long Didn't Read News, where without bias they summarize often complicated news topics to give people the highlights and a shorter version. And doing this has worked very well for them. They now have about 7 channels with millions of subscribers and tens of millions of monthly views. They have grown so much that they are now invited and recognized as a professional news channel. Not bad for a few English lads who looked a bit awkward when they were presenting on camera at the start. Yes, they present in the videos with images and graphics in a hybrid style of video, but they could have just as easily done it in a 100% faceless way. This simplifying or summarizing is something that works really well for many subjects. In our fast-paced world, we all want to get shortcuts and just bite-sized pieces of information. The other channel types that do well are single niche topics where you become the authority or the go-to places for updates in one area. An example of this, though not one I would personally recommend, is the Ukraine war and the Gaza conflict. Channels bringing attention to this have gotten millions of views in a matter of weeks, though again, I'm not recommending this unless it's a topic you feel very strongly about. Better to pick a niche that is more ad-friendly, assuming your goal here is to actually make money. AI or crypto are good examples of this, and people who like tech are very friendly towards faceless content. Global tech and environmental news are also good topics here. So again, you want something that is going to be ongoing and ad safe. Once you pick your trending niche, the next step is leveraging AI to replace your news team. Step 1 is generating your video script. So we'll be jumping onto my computer and I'll show you 2 different ways to do this with AI. Okay, so you're going to want to come into ChatGPT. Now, in order to do this, you are going to need their premium account, which I think costs something like $20, at least at the time of recording this, because for the first method I'm going to show you, we are going to be using some of their new features. So this is new technology to get it to do most of the work for you. Obviously, if you don't want to do this method, then potentially the next method will work well for you as well, and you will also get some good results from that with the free version. But the paid version at the time of recording this was definitely the best option for getting the best results for your content, especially news content. So what you're going to want to do is come across and go up to here and start a new chat. Make sure that you have the plugins option enabled. If you do not, then you can come down and you can get your tab and go into the settings and beta, and you want to activate inside here the plugins option. And once you do that, then in the drop-in here, you'll be able to select plugins. And if you go into the plugins here, you'll see that I've already got some set up. Now we can add as many plugins as we like, but we can only use 3 plugins at any given time. So what you want to do is go to the plugin store. And this is a great source of news channels and news plugins that are plugged into ChatGPT directly. So what we want to do is go news, and then it will show us all the different plugins, and you'll see that there's loads of different ones here that we can go through. So there'll be ones that have AI news. So I could say, okay, I want some AI news. This is a great one. And then I could say I've got Alpha News. I've already got this one on. And there'll be some of these that try to take you away to a sign-up page. I don't like using those ones. I don't want to get additional setups and everything else to link things. I just want to add the ones that are easy to add and don't ask me for any additional information. And then once you've got a number of these set up, and you could, of course, search for crypto news or AI news and see what else it's got. So we've got global news, and that's going to be pulling all of the news stories, or we could go more bespoke. And I definitely see this one's for crypto. We've got loads of crypto news ones here, and there'll be ones for different things such as sports and everything else. So if you've got a particular type of news you want that isn't going to be in the general news, or you think people may have already built news channels around it, then you could do that search here. So now I've added some of these different plugins. I'm going to leave that and then come back to my ChatGPT. And you'll see in the drop down, we've got loads of different options here. Now I've already added some news ones. So what I want to do is select the 3 that I think are going to be most relevant for what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to deselect the UK one, and I'm going to add this one. So I've got AI News Roundup, News Pilot, and then I've got Biz Talk. So I'm going to assume those 3 may be a good option for some AI news. And that's what I'm going to do to begin with. I think I'm going to try to generate a script for AI news. So though here, I'm going to paste my prompt. And for this one, I'm going to say, create a YouTube video script without timing or scene setting, just the script, please. I always like to say that because it always gives me the framework and everything else that I then have to remove later on before putting it into the AI voice generator. So it just makes things a bit more easier for me. And then of the last week's news around the world for AI. This is for an AI news channel, and the video needs to be over 1,000 words or at least 5 minutes long. So detailed points. Use the news plugins. Now this part, it'll be fine for the first prompt, but if we make changes, it's important that we're making it use the plugins. So we'll see that in action. Otherwise, ChatGPT may just be making things up based off its own knowledge, which is not up to date or linked to the internet. So it will be lying, basically. So we need it connected to the plugins. And then go generate. So then you can see that it's using one of the news channels, which happens to be AI News Roundup. And it's also using News Pilot. Okay, so there we go. We can see that it's generated a script based on the news from those plugins, which I think is absolutely great. Now, I will always say a caveat that I recommend with ChatGPT, especially when it's pulling in any type of news, you check the facts. So I would go away, quickly Google each one of these things just to see if it's actually true. But I have done some testing and I generally find it to be true, unless, as I said before, it's not showing these parts, in which case it starts to make things up. So there we go. It looks really good. So hello and welcome to our news channel. So we could change the name and put our name in here. So when we come to creating our voiceover, we can actually start to change this intro slightly. Or we could ask ChatGPT to improve the intro. But for the sake of this video here, I'm not going to go into much more. So we've got some great news here. Managing costs in cloud and generative AI. Midjourney Alpha, great. AI identified superfoods. Okay, weird. AI in role-playing. Yes, I've seen this one, so this is definitely true. It's kind of interesting. Meta AI research, groundbreaking generative models. Generative AI in marketing. Right, so I know most of these to be pretty much true. So it just goes to show that the news that it's pulling is useful and pretty darn good. So there you go. A great news roundup for the week. You could do it by the day and just keep producing videos from that. So I'd be happy with this. And obviously this is just a short script, and we could ask it to keep filling out and improving on different sections. So we could say, make this expand on this point using plugins. And then we scroll down. Okay, we can see ChatGPT is working with these different tools here. So there you go. It has massively expanded on this point here. So I would probably remove the conclusion. I find that it gets a bit wordy when it's adding the conclusion. Normally this final sentence says everything you need, but you can read through it. But the great thing is you can see how this initial point that we had that was very short for maybe a bite-sized video if you were happy with a 3 or 4 minute video. But if you wanted to expand each point based on the articles, then it's pulling in some great information here where it's talking more about the details. So that's how you would create a much longer video for those 7 points. If you did it with each of these, you'd probably end up with a 12 to 15 minute video, which is going to be much longer, and it's going to help you generate a lot more ad revenue from your channel. So that is the first method for creating your script using AI. The next way, and if we come back into ChatGPT here, and we create a new one, and we just switch back to ChatGPT 4, which is going to be the best version for actually creative writing. Now, this method is going to be getting it to rewrite or summarize or create from other people's articles. Now, the likes of the BBC, we can search on here for AI news, and it has a whole sections on artificial intelligence as it's trending, relevant, and ongoing. So there's going to be a lot of information that they are posting almost daily. So if we look at this, we've got 6 days ago, we've got perhaps just 5 days ago, and we can start to see what is the most relevant news here, or things that we think are big. So there's not a huge amount that is that new here. So we come back up to the top, we could say, okay, this is quite a big relevant article. This would maybe be worthy of creating a video ourselves on this. The EU agrees on a landmark deal for regulating AI. So let's go into that. So then we could come down and we could highlight all of this, and we could copy it, and we could say to ChatGPT to rewrite this. Okay, rewrite this article. Now, we could get it to summarize it if it was longer and then get it to rewrite it. So we'll see how much it changes this. So, European Union officials have reached a provisional deal on the world's first comprehensive laws to regulate the use of artificial intelligence. European Union officials have tentatively agreed on pioneering regulations for artificial intelligence, making a global first in AI law. Completely different, but similar. And there we go. So you have the foundation. So you could create an intro. I could then say, create an intro for this title. Okay, so it's created a much longer title that we can use. And you may want to make sure that it's not repeating more of the same than it is here. You may also want to say, rewrite the article to be a YouTube video script. So perhaps you're looking at this going, it's a bit more of written text. Maybe I want it slightly different. But we could say Okay, so you could obviously say, don't put any of the marks and scene setting and all of that, just as I did in the previous example. And there you have it, your full YouTube video script. Now again, you're going to want to check those facts, but it should be okay because we've given it most of the information that it needed to rewrite all of this information. So you could take this and then just fill it out yourself, or you could take this script, look through it, and if you're happy with it, then it's literally set out a whole YouTube video script from that article that you can now use inside of your video. So those are the two different ways that you can create your YouTube video script for your news channel using ChatGPT. Okay, so in step 2, we want to create our AI voiceover. And to do this, we're going to use a tool called 11 Labs. Okay, so once inside 11 Labs, you're going to want to come across to Projects. And then you're going to want to select Create New Project. Now, I am in no way affiliated with 11 Labs. It's just at the time of recording this, they are the best AI voices on the market. And you can start with a free account to be able to get started and start testing it for yourself. Now, once we're inside, we want to create an empty project. Go Next. And then it's going to ask you what voice you want. Now, we could have created a bespoke voice, or we could have taken one from their marketplace. But these voices will not be quite as stable as their pre-made voices. So they have their pre-made voices here, which have about 40 to 45 different voices inside. And when you're doing something as official as a news channel, you really want to make sure that the voices that you're going to be selecting are as stable as possible. We don't want any grammatical mistakes because people will pick up on that. It's fine with a different type of more emotional channel, but this is a very serious type of channel. So we want to select one that's going to be matching the style, be it a man or a woman, depending on what you think your audience is going to prefer, and then start to test some of these voices. So let's test an Irish one.
The world is round, and the place which may seem like the end may also be the beginning.
Okay, I don't think so. Let's try an English one.
The less effort, the faster and more powerful you will be.
I quite like that one. Let's try an American one.
I'd rather regret the things that I have done than the things that I have not done.
Bit too soft.
Life without love is like a tree without blossoms or fruit.
Friends show their love in times of trouble, not in happiness.
Our distrust is very expensive.
Ideas are the beginning points of all fortunes.
I think female voices can be very good, and English ones, especially depending on your market, can be very good for news channels. So I think we're going to go with Dorothy for this one, and then we're going to select the option that they say is most stable for the error message. We're going to go with 11 Labs 1. Standard will probably be the option that you have unless you're going for a very high paid account. And that's it. We just need to name this. Create. And the reason we want to create a project is because we want to put everything together. Otherwise, it limits the amount of text that you can put in one single go, and you're going to have to edit that all together later on. So for the sake of this one, I'm going to take the first summarized version that we got when we were using the plugins. And I want to take all of that. I'm not going to make any changes. I'm sure it will sound fine for this example. And we can paste it here. I'll remove the conclusion. And you can decide whether you want it to actually say these parts. So if you want it to say the titles, then leave them in. If you don't, then remove it. So generative AI marketing, for the sake of this one, I think I'm going to leave it in. So what we can do is we can come up, remove introduction. Now, if you want it to record everything in one go, then you would literally just delete all the gaps so it's all highlighted in one go. So I'm actually going to remove these. And I'm just going to quickly go in. Now, obviously, you would have wanted to have read through this, made any changes and corrections to make sure that it was going to be reading well and makes total sense. But I'm not going to do that for this example because I just want to make it as quickly as possible. So there we go. It's all highlighted in one go, which means this is probably not going to be more than a 4 to 5 minute video. So I would have obviously wanted to create a slightly longer video, but for the sake of this example, I'm perfectly happy with that. So I then want to click on play.
Hello and welcome to our AI News channel, where we bring you the latest and most fascinating developments in the world of artificial intelligence from around the globe.
Now, I think we can agree that sounds fantastic. You can also see down here that that was only a total of about just under 4 minutes. So it's a very short script. Again, we would want to fill it out a little bit more, unless it's just small, short videos that you actually want to do for your channel, which are obviously going to be a lot easier for you to create and upload each and every day. So from here, the next step will be to convert this. So we go into convert. convert. And then it's going to say versions. And then I can play it or download it. So we're going to go download. And then we're going to be able to use that inside the next step. Step 4 is creating our video to go with a voiceover. Now, to do this, we're going to be using a tool called Pictory that you may well know, but we're also going to be using a combination of AI images and screen recordings, as well as other content that we can get our hands on, and that we're more importantly allowed to use. Okay, so once inside Pictory, you're going to want to come to Script to Video, and then click on Proceed. From here, give it a name, so we'll call it AI News. And then I like to come back across, highlight our script that was inside of 11 Labs, or if you've got it down on a document, just copy that, and then bring it across to here. And then you can break it down based on the size of the sentence. So normally I like the clip to change about every 10 words, just to make it more gripping. And we can do that by creating a new line, or we can actually just come up to here and say that we're going to set it to creating a line break. So create a new scene based on a full stop or based on a line break. Now, for the sake of this video and not having to go through each step of making a new line, so what I would often do is just make a new line, and then I would change the setting to each line break. So I would decide where the new scene would begin. So I'm going to go up to this, and I'm actually going to say we're just going to do it with the full stops. And then I'm going to go to Proceed. And then I'm going to select a type of text that I like. Doesn't really matter, I can change this later on, so we'll go with the red one. Select 16:9. Okay, so now that's created scenes for each new sentence. So it's created a video, the AI has gone out and matched up the videos as best as it can to the text script that we just gave it. Now, we're obviously going to go through these and check them in a moment. I like to turn the text off. I'm not a massive fan of having the text on, so I like to hide that and apply to all. You can always leave that on yourself or have it on some scenes and not on others. But I just want the visual in the background, and I can decide if I'm going to add some text to certain scenes later on. Now, the great thing about Pictory is that it actually has a built-in API to 11 Labs. So you actually get 11 Labs for free inside of Pictory. So it's going to save you money on 11 Labs if you decide to upgrade. Now, I do it separately in case I want to do something else for additional steps later on. But if you were just going to use Pictory and the steps that I'm going to show you now, then you might as well save your money and just get Pictory, and then you don't have to get 11 Labs as well, because we can go into the audio and we can literally go to voiceover. And as you can see here, it's connected to 11 Labs, and we can go and check out, and it's got all of those 40 to 50 different, 51 in fact, of those pre-made voices. So the voice I actually used, I believe, was Dorothy, and for sure that will probably be in here. There we go. So that is the same person that we just created our voiceover on. But as I'm going to upload a voiceover, and maybe you're actually going to use your own voice, in which case we're going to want to come to My Uploads, select here. We then want to go into our video clips, select our audio, and then go open. And then you will see your audio here, and just go apply, entire video. And it will auto sync the video clips to your voiceover. Again, if you were just doing this inside Pictory directly, it would do all that for you once you pick the voice. And let's
Hello and
preview
welcome
it.
to our AI News channel, where we bring you the latest and most fascinating developments in the world of artificial intelligence from around the globe. Today, we have a roundup of some intriguing AI news from the past week. Let's dive right in. Our
So you can
first
see
story
it's
takes
already
us into the
sounding
realm of
pretty
cloud
good.
computing and generative AI.
So some of these clips aren't going to match, and I'm not sure about the background music, so we will want to change that later on. So we could test a few of these. We can decide on the mood that we're going to want. So we can go, we want it to be intense, hopeful, uplifting. Maybe we don't want any music at all, but maybe we want dramatic. So let's go apply. Okay, I'm going to select this one. You probably want to look a bit more, but I think that sort of cosmic AI feel to it is going to work quite well. So what I can do is I want to change some of these scenes. So we can just select these scenes, and then we can come across to the story part, and you will see the scene that has been selected here. So we have scene 4, and that's here. So we can actually select these and we can split the scene if we want to create an additional scene. Or we can say, okay, I don't like the visual, I want to change the visual. Otherwise, what I like to do is actually go back into ChatGPT 4, so not the plugins, but back to ChatGPT 4 with DALL-E. Again, you'll need the paid account for this. And I could type in the point and say, okay, for this point here, which was point number 1, create an image that I can use to go with it. So I could say, create a thumbnail image to go with this. You will want to make sure that you're saying the size, which is 16 by 9. And then I can download that and just upload that straight inside of Pictory. So I can come here and say, okay, I'm going to change this. I'm going to go to Visuals, My Uploads. And then I could upload and say, okay, we're going to go with this one. And then select it. And there we go. So that's going to be there for that entire scene. Now, it might be that you want to break up that scene a little bit. Perhaps it's too long to have this image on here. Or maybe later on you want to put some text on top of it. Or you wanted to have a title and only use these for the intro to each point. So obviously on the script itself, we actually had all of the different points. So we've got point 1, point 2. So maybe you just want this for the opening of each new point with the title as well. You also, if you remember, we had the part where it was, there we go, character AI. So here we could actually upload a screen recording. So you could use any free software to record a screen. So this is not representative of the website that they're actually talking about. So here I could upload a visual of my own of that website. Okay, and then we select it. And now we can preview this to see what it's like.
This article lists 7 AI chatbots, including the popular character AI, offering a unique platform for interacting with various characters.
Okay, so I think that looks pretty darn good. The next thing we want to do is here, you just want to go through each slide to make sure that the graphics you see on screen match what you want. And if you wanted something else, you could come across to your visuals here and you actually search for something inside the library and it's going to pull from all the stock footage. And we could just say AI, maybe something with ChatGPT. And there's so many AI footage clips that we can use. Back to story, select a different one. So we've got the image there. So maybe we want to change that one as well. And perhaps we come back up and we say, okay, this bit is too long. I want it to change more at the beginning. So what I'm going to do is go into here, and go split scene. I'm going to unlink it. And then this, I'm going to give a new image. And then let's preview it.
Hello and welcome to our AI News channel, where we bring you the latest and most fascinating developments in the world of artificial intelligence from around the globe. Today, we have a roundup of some intriguing AI news from the past week. Let's dive right in. Our first story takes us into the realm of cloud computing and generative AI.
Well, I think this sounds really good. Now, obviously, I probably would have wanted to put more effort into the music selection, the script to begin with. But for the fact that I literally just took the first run of the script and put it in here, I think it's looking and sounding really, really good. So you could go in and keep tweaking it, keep changing it. You could add some text if you wanted. But this is a great video that you could now use. So let's just look at it a little bit more.
A recent article on VentureBeat discusses the challenges and strategies for managing costs.
So you would see that using images is great, but maybe you would want to split the scene up more to be blending different images, AI images together. So it's not just static on the screen. Or you would want to have more text on the screen so there's something happening. Now, if you had the text on the screen, I also recommend perhaps using tools like Descript, where you can add big chunky subtitles to the screen to go along with it. So that's a great way to add even more.
While harnessing the potential of these technologies, it's a crucial topic for businesses looking to integrate AI into their operations without breaking the bank. The article...
But I think the voice and everything else is really, really good. So there you go. That's how you would create the foundation of your video, and you could actually just use that here and there. Let's see what it looks like with the subtitles on. So we'll put them all back on. And again, we can change these. If we go into styles, we can select a different style from the library to use for our subtitles. But I think this looks pretty good. So let's preview that again.
Hello and welcome to our AI News channel, where we bring you the latest and most fascinating developments in the world of artificial intelligence from around the globe. Today, we have a roundup of some intriguing AI news from the past week. Let's dive right in.
I think it sounds really good. I would probably get a slightly faster voice just to maintain the pace of the video that I want. But I think it's crystal clear. It sounds really good. And it's a great news video right there. But maybe we want to add something more. So that's what we're going to be doing in the next step, which is an additional step that you can do. Otherwise, you could literally just come across and you could download that video if you were happy with it and then upload it to YouTube and away you go. And you could also get ChatGPT to create a thumbnail for you, which I've done in another video, and I'll also put a link to that in the video description. Step 5 is an optional one, where we add AI avatars in place of the human. So instead of me talking to the camera, you would have an avatar version of me or some other character that you select. To do this, we're going to use a tool called HeyGen. So once inside of HeyGen, you're just going to want to select an avatar. So the interesting thing about HeyGen is that you can either select the studio avatars, so the done for you ones from photos, or you can actually create one from yourself. Now, this is insane because if you actually say wanted to use your face in your videos, but you didn't want to use your voice and you didn't want to have to record your face, you can actually still use yourself and actually create videos like you're an avatar. So it would actually move your mouth and face and lip sync it to the words. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use one from the library because I don't actually want to have myself in it. So this is a good additional step if you just want to have that sort of news presenter. And I think it does for news channels add an extra layer of quality. However, it is worth noting that HeyGen and these types of tools are quite pricey if you plan to create a lot of content. So if you plan to create almost a video every day, it's going to add up. So you really need to make sure that you're willing to invest initially and then hopefully start to get your return on investment from your channel down the road. If you don't want to do that extra layer of investment, then obviously just the steps all the way through to Pictory and then adding additional images, screen recordings and everything else will be the way that you would create a video that was pretty good. And as I said before, I would, although the text did look pretty good inside of Pictory, maybe adding additional active subtitles inside a tool like Descript would be a good extra step. So what I'm going to want is someone that looks professional. So we have a woman and she looks professional. So we are going to select this one here. Let's just test it.
Welcome to the new era of video creation with HeyGen.
Now, her voice is absolutely terrible, but we're going to create our own. So let's go with landscape. And we would go to audio script. So we're not going to do the text script because we don't want to use their voices. We will go audio script. And then we go play.
Hello and welcome to our AI News channel, where we bring you the latest.
Now, it's worth mentioning that this won't animate until you actually try to convert it. So once you need to render it before she'll start lip syncing to your audio. So this, if you've got the free account, you'll only be able to do 1 minute to test this yourself. So I'm not sure it's going to work for this length of audio. But what we would want to do is make sure that the background color was set to, say, green. So we can remove that later. And then that means that we're going to be able to remove her from the background and have her on top of our video. So this will be an additional step that you could use a tool like any editing tool or perhaps a free one like CapCut, where you could just add this avatar and have her either talking in the corner or talking at the side. And then you would have the visuals in the background. And then you could, if you wanted, add additional subtitles on top afterwards. So then all you need to do would be to submit it, and then that would convert it into your talking head that would lip sync perfectly with this voiceover, though you would need a paid account for anything above the 1 minute of testing. So test it, see if you like it, and then if it's something that you want to add to your video, then you can just have it added on top. Again, you would need something like CapCut, and you would need to remove the audio from the Pictory download because this audio is going to replace that. So that's just something worth noting. But if you want to add an extra layer of quality to your news videos, then this would be the natural progression if you're not going to have an actual human presenting inside. So there you have it. Everyone has been looking for the next big thing in faceless YouTube channels, and the answer may have been staring you in the face all along while you were eating your breakfast cereal. With that said, if you would like full step-by-step training on building profitable channels, then check out the links in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you inside the next video.